All right, let's jump right into one of the most game-changing personal finance books out there, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, this book isn't really about how to pick stocks or anything like that. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's all about understanding what the wealthy teach their kids about money that most of us never learn.
So the whole book is built around this amazing story from Kiyosaki's childhood. He basically had two dads. There was his actual father, the poor dad, who was super educated, a top academic, but always struggled with money. And then there was his best friend's father, the rich dad, who dropped out in the 8th grade but became one of Hawaii's wealthiest men. Right from the start, their advice was polar opposite. And you might think the difference was about how smart they were or their education level, but that's not it at all. It came down to their core beliefs about money. What Kiyosaki realized really early on is that it's the financial software we get programmed with at home, not at school, that pretty much decides our financial future.
I mean, just look at this. These two quotes show you everything you need to know about their different worlds. Both men were good, decent people who worked hard. But one saw money as this evil thing you should probably avoid, while the other saw it for what it is, a tool, something you absolutely have to understand.
And this difference in thinking, it shows up in the words they used every single day. Poor Dad's go-to phrase was, "I can't afford it." And that's a statement. It's a full stop. It tells your brain to just shut down. But Rich Dad, he wouldn't let his kids say that. Instead, he made them ask a question. How can I afford it? See the difference? That question forces your brain to wake up, to start looking for solutions. It's like a workout for your financial mind.
Okay, so that's the setup. Let's get into the first huge lesson Rich Dad taught, and it's a big one. It challenges the whole reason most of us go to work. It all started when Kiyosaki was just 9 years old, totally fed up with being the poor kid, and he finally asked how to get rich. Now, his own dad's advice was just kind of learn to make money, which doesn't really help. But Rich Dad, he made him a real offer. It was simple. You work for me, and I'll teach you. You don't work for me, I won't teach you. The education wasn't going to happen in a classroom. It was going to be hands-on. So picture this. Young Kiyosaki starts working. 3 hours every Saturday, dusting old canned goods in one of Rich Dad's stores. And the pay? A measly 10 cents an hour. After a few weeks of this incredibly boring job, he was fed up, angry, and he was ready to walk. And that moment of anger, that was the real lesson. Rich Dad was waiting for it. He explained that this is exactly how life teaches you. It kind of just pushes you around. And when that happens, you can either get mad and blame your boss or your job, or you can step back and learn from it. The real growth starts when you stop pointing fingers and start thinking differently. So Rich Dad then comes back with this unbelievable counteroffer. He said if they really wanted to learn the lesson, they had to keep working, but now for nothing, $0. He wanted to push them past that desire for a paycheck, to force them to use their brains to find another way. And you know what? It worked. Once they weren't working for that tiny paycheck, their minds opened up. They started seeing opportunities that were invisible before. They noticed the store owner tossing out old comic books, so they asked if they could have them. They took those comics, opened up a little library in an empty room, and started charging other kids 10 cents to come in and read them. Suddenly, they were making way more than they ever did dusting cans. And the best part? The comic book library made money even when they weren't physically there. They had figured out how to make money work for them. And that whole experience leads us to maybe the single most important, most fundamental rule in the entire book. It's so simple, you might miss how powerful it really is. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. That's the whole definition. The only thing that matters is which way the cash is flowing. And a liability, you guessed it, it's the exact opposite. It's anything that takes money out of your pocket. Again, super simple. It's all about the direction of the cash flow. And here it is. This is the secret sauce. This is the whole game right here. The rich spend their lives buying assets. The poor and the middle class, they spend their lives buying liabilities that they mistakenly believe are assets. That one behavioral difference pretty much explains everything. Which, of course, brings us to the big one, the one that gets everybody talking. Is your house an asset? Most of us are taught to believe it's our biggest asset, but Rich Dad's answer was a hard no. Your main home is a liability. Why? Because every single month, it takes money out of your pocket. You've got the mortgage, the taxes, insurance, repairs. It doesn't put a dime in your pocket.
Okay, so the goal is to buy assets. The next question is, what kind of assets? And how do you do that while you're also, paying your bills and living your life? Well, that brings us to the third big lesson, which is all about a distinction that most of us get wrong our entire lives. There's this fantastic story about Ray Kroc, the guy who built McDonald's. He once asked a group of business students, "What business am I in?" They all said hamburgers, of course. And he said, "Nope, my business is not hamburgers. My business is real estate." You see, his profession was selling hamburger franchises, but his business, the thing that made him truly wealthy, was accumulating all that valuable real estate underneath the restaurants. Your profession is what pays the bills. Your business is what makes you rich. And your business is your asset column. The goal is to use the paycheck from your job to constantly be buying things that generate more income. Things like stocks, rental properties, or maybe a business that you own but don't have to run day to day. You're building a machine that makes money instead of just buying more stuff. So if it's this simple, why doesn't everyone just do it? Why isn't everyone wealthy? Well, it's because most people are stuck in what Rich Dad famously called the rat race. It's a psychological trap, and it's powered by two of our most powerful emotions, fear and desire. Here's how the trap works. First, the fear of not having enough money to pay your bills forces you to get up and go to a job. Then you get your paycheck and desire kicks in. You start thinking about all the cool stuff you can buy, so you spend the money, the bills come due again, the fear comes rushing back, and the cycle just repeats itself over and over for your entire life. Now, here's the part that trips everyone up. Getting a raise doesn't get you out of the trap. In fact, it usually makes it worse. More money just means a bigger house, a fancier car, and more debt. A bigger paycheck just makes the cage more comfortable. It doesn't actually unlock the door. So, how do you get out? The only way to escape the rat race is to shift your entire focus. Stop obsessing over your paycheck, your income statement, and start obsessing over your asset column. It means making a conscious choice, paycheck after paycheck, to use your money to buy assets that generate more money. That's how you break the cycle. And that really brings us to the heart of it all. The main message of this book isn't really about money, it's about psychology. It's about mastering your own emotions so they don't control your wallet. So the question I want to leave you with is this. When it comes to your money, are your decisions being driven by fear and desire? Or are you the one who is truly in control of your financial thoughts?